To everybody who's been liking the videos so far, we thank y'all. You guys liking the videos has kind of helped us start to grow the channel even more, so we appreciate it. To those who have not, please, we ask you, hit the like button before you even watch this video. It helps us grow the channel, helps people learn about us, and allows us to make more great content like this. So that's all we got. Thank you for helping us grow this channel. Hit the like button right now, and on with the show.
We got you stuck off the realness, the most infamous, you heard of us. Official podcast murderers, the show comes equipped with viewpoints to share. Grown man ideas for all those who care and wanna grow, so go ahead and download. Every single week with a brand new episode. You're not alone in this world, cousin, so we share information and honest discussion and keep repping a culture like we supposed to. They spread gossip, but they never come close to. I can hear it inside their tone. They talk about the industry, but never left their home. You get laced up with bullet points and such, plus empowering topics that they never would touch. You can put your whole network against the team, but Super Duty Tough Work's the MVP. Most valuable podcast on MP3. Priceless info, but all of it's free. So take these words home and think them through. Super Duty Tough Work is coming at you. You are now listening to Super Duty Tough Work with your host, Blueprint. Raw and uncut, adult conversations. No shucking, no jiving, and no bullshit.
Super Duty Tough Work, back again. Guests, interviews, Big Sto.
Yo.
The homie. Friend of the show. Welcome aboard.
I'm very honored to be here. I'm here with a legend. I can't even believe that I'm even was asked to be on this program. So obviously I'm honored. Super Duty Tough Work. You guys have been doing incredible work. It's an honor to genuinely be here. So I appreciate it.
Thank you, brother. I mean, you're here because you do great work as well. I think a lot of people who tune into our podcast tune in because they find it inspiring and for the, the self development side of it, especially as it relates to artistry. But, we know that we're not the only people in that space doing this type of thing. And so you are and have been kind of in the forefront of it for a while as well. And you are part of many things. And, it's dope to see you kind of go on that path as we've been going on that path, because it's really kind of new ground, as far as I can see. And so today, for those who don't know, Big Sto is a writer, publicist. You manage a label as well.
Yes.
Yeah. I mean, you have many, many hats. And so today, a lot of artists have asked us about how to talk to the press, how to deal with the press. And I didn't want to do the episode by myself, because I understand it as an artist, but,
right.
I've had publicists and I've done my own press, but I figured it would be a better conversation to have somebody who sat on so many different sides of it, like yourself. And I think we'll get a more productive conversation, and you'll hear some angles here that I might not have even thought of. And so, let's start about like how you got into, I guess, writing, because it seems to me that was the genesis of the things you're doing now. Is that correct?
Right. So, what is this? I think I'm like my sophomore year of high school. Started. I remember my cousin handed me 3 like independent rap CDs that I hadn't heard, and before that point, I genuinely was just like listening to like, I think T.I.'s Rubber Band Man had come out at that point or something like that. So I was like, all right, you know what? Like I slipped in the disc. I think it was Surreal and DJ Balance's Future Classic, I think the album was called. And I was like, how is no one writing about this? This is incredible music. Like, you don't have to. And again, keep in mind, I'm 16 at the moment, so I had only been exposed to so much. And so I was like, I can't believe you can make rap music that has nothing to do with what I hear on the radio. But how come no one's writing about this? So yeah, I went to Twinsburg High School, was taking a journalism class there, and that's where I started writing my first independent hip hop reviews and whatnot. And then from there, I just, again, as the internet is still kind of buzzing, OK Player forums and
Yeah.
like all these other things are still kind of buzzing. So
This is
I
like
didn't really
the blog era, kind of, or
exactly,
okay,
exactly.
yeah, that was a whole big era right there for writing.
Exactly. So I'm kind of smack dab in the middle of that, but I'm still kind of learning how to write, still learning about different artists. So that whole summer, I was just like, okay, whatever rap music I run into that that is kind of more unique and independent, I'm going to try to write about it. And so my blog got started there, and it just kind of really blossomed from that point. Went to college, continued to write,
Yeah.
linked up with a couple other writers and editors. I saw yourself in concert.
Yep. That's where I met you at Ohio
Yeah, yeah,
University.
exactly,
Casa
exactly. I think
Nueva show.
yes, yes, exactly. Summer. That's I think 2010, 11 or something like that.
Mhm.
And I think Counterculture had just dropped,
Yep,
something like
2011.
that.
Yep, 2011.
Yeah,
Yep.
yeah. And I was just blown away that I was seeing this in real life, because at that time, right, like you aren't seeing artists at huge stadiums and stuff like that. Like, you're lucky to run into your favorite independent act like at a venue or something like that. So seeing
Mhm.
yourself and Illogic in person was just like, what's happening? And so it just continued to blossom, and I continued to see that, people don't really talk about Ohio that much hip hop wise. I feel like it's
It's
still the
true.
New Yorks, it was still the West, and it was still, stuff like that. But again, yourself, Illogic, There He Has It, Don Will, all these other cats from Ohio are just showing like it is possible no matter where you're at. So again, I'm still writing and still doing stuff like that. And just really just evolved from there.
Yeah. So when you first started writing, how did you come to like writing for the publications? How did you go from, okay, I'm going to start writing about this thing that I have a passion for, to, okay, let me reach out to these publications and see if they actually will be interested? How did you make that move?
Right. So for myself, what a lot of people don't realize is that I'm also an artist.
Okay.
And I've been making music since high school myself. I just once I kind of studied the landscape, I guess, and realized, I can kind of do my own thing without putting, I'm a rapper at the forefront. I realized I could do more of a service, I guess, kind of not staying in the background, but just helping out. Because, again, you don't really see as many people writing and helping out, I guess, when it comes to independent hip hop and stuff like that.
It's very true.
So when it came to, I went to school with Paul Mira,
Yep.
who ended up
No problem.
writing. Yeah, yeah.
Yep.
And so he was a class ahead of me, and he was doing a website, and he was looking for writers. So I started there, and I just started. I'm very thankful that he gave me that opportunity to just write. And he went on to write for Hip Hop DX. I think he's writing for BET now. I'm not sure, but
I think he does too. Yep. I think so.
yeah. So he gave me all those opportunities, and I just took advantage of it, to be completely honest. I was just trying to write as much as I possibly could and just connect with as many people as I could. Justin Ivy, I ended up linking up with him, and he was the one who gave me the opportunity at another website.
Yeah.
And again, I'm thankful to have run into people who gave my writing a chance, and gave the music that I listened to a chance. So once I was writing over at the other website, that's really where things started to kind of, I don't want to say blow up, but my writing started to get more notice. I started to get more artists hitting me up with their releases.
Yeah.
And yeah, so from that point on, honestly, it really, because I ended up writing for Dead End Hip Hop after that, and a couple other places after that. So that's Paul Mira, and writing in college really is what skyrocketed me, I guess, into more of the writing landscape amongst all my peers that I'm with now, I guess.
Okay, dope. And so I mean, obviously from there, it seems like you started working directly with artists. How did you start going into that field? Because I mean, I totally agree. A conversation we used to have a lot back in the days in like 2002, 2003, when I first was like, when Weightless was first started popping, we would always have these conversations about how everybody wants to rap, but the industry needs more writers, more publicists, more tour managers, more more, you know, like more design. Like it needs these people who actually love the art form and can do those things. And so many artists actually think that there's no other way to make an impact on the culture without writing. Without rapping. And it's like, it's a shame, you know?
Absolutely. And I, it's so funny you bring up that conversation, because whether it was yourself or others, I remember hearing that and low key getting kind of like, dang, like maybe there are too many rappers. Like maybe I'm one of those too many rappers and stuff like that. But when you say stuff like that, it's not from a place of, okay, get the rappers out of here. It's not, you're not speaking from a place like that to reduce the amount of quote unquote talent. And I think a lot of people take comments like that as like, oh, well, he's just mad because of X, Y, Z. But in reality, it's simply, obviously we could go on with this for a million years, but when you have so many talented artists and you have so many people that are trying to advance, I guess, you need to have people on the other side that are willing to engage, I guess. And not just this double XL, like I'm going to write this blurb about, you know, whatever trending topic. I mean, people that genuinely are invested in the artist, that are genuinely invested in the movement and understand like, okay, hip hop is much bigger than this clout chasing, trend setting, I think is good, but clout chasing, I guess, vehicle. It's a machine for so many other things, such as education and a genuine business, and providing, I guess, opportunities that we don't see in the capitalistic world. So it's not just this, okay, get the artists that are still learning out of the way. It's no, if we want hip hop to be successful 50, 100, et cetera, years down the line, there needs to be more behind it. And again, I feel like I'm going on a tangent, but hip hop is not old. Like it's still kind of brand new. It's a new platform, a new vehicle. So it still needs people that are genuine supporters and genuine fans to push it forward. I get kind of scared sometimes, I guess, when I look at hip hop journalism today, because a lot of the actual writers seem to be getting kicked out in favor of people who can pump out a piece in 5 seconds and get the most views. So that's kind of where I stand, I guess, in terms of actually being behind the artist as well.
Yeah, I agree. I got a similar resistance to certain artists that I mentioned that to. Like there would be times when I would say, hey, man, you know, we're throwing shows in the city and we don't have anybody to deal with these venues. We don't have anybody to deal with this doorman to like, we would literally train guys to watch the doorman to make sure they didn't jerk us on the head count at shows at Scully's. Bruh. And they would thank us. Like Scully would be like, he's like, you know what? When y'all first started doing that, I was a little offended. He said, now I kind of respect y'all because y'all don't play about y'all money. And you know what I said? Hey, my man said, I said, oh, y'all got a clicker? We got a clicker too. So when we cash out, we need that. You know, I realized through doing the soul position stuff that, hey, you know, even Rhymesayers as a label only had like 1 to 2 tour managers for every act on their label. So what happens if 3 artists are at the same time? You have no tour managers. So I started training people in Weightless to tour manage. Come out here on my tour. I'll teach you how to tour manage. You're not going to get paid what they get paid because I'm still going to be doing it with you. But eventually, because you're one of the few people who do it, you'll get hired by other people. And just like that, they were getting hired, traveling all over the country without us, because now they have a skill. They know how to deal with promoters, how to settle up, how to read a split sheet, how to do all these things that at the end of the night, only a few people do. But all of us have access to, because we're literally hands-on with all of this. And it's it's dope that you saw that early, because I think, like you said, the deeper you get into this, the more you see how corporate it is and how very few people like us are on the other side.
Right.
You know,
right.
like, oh, y'all just hire people like us. Y'all just fuck with the talent. Y'all don't really have full-time people who are like us around. It's like, oh,
exactly.
And so this is where a lot of the confusion comes on, man. And so when you started, did you go straight from that side to like managing artists, or how did you like, because I know you started kind of being an interface between the artists and the outlets at some point, and then you branched into management. Let's talk about how you got into management and then label management.
Right. So I'm going to be honest here. I've never really considered myself a manager per se.
Okay.
And so it really started off with me just writing press releases in general, while simultaneously kind of doing consultation work behind the scenes. So, you know, artist A hits me up like, hey, you know, I really want to get my release out here or out there amongst, you know what, I mean, we all know the prominent publications and stuff like that. And as you get more requests that honestly sound almost exactly the same in terms of, hey, I want to get on this publication, or hey, how do I make X amount of money per month in a year or something like that? You start to realize, okay, but there's no foundation there.
Yes.
And we're in this era, and it's a good era. I love it, because even someone like myself can just hop in my closet, record something decent, send it off to an engineer, and make it happen. But when there's still this gap, I guess, even now, where you have a solid, like, let's say you have a solid 13-track project, right? And you're confident in it, and you know that it's good, and you obviously want it to go out there and do well and to pull in those numbers and stuff like that. But there's a whole period. And I think this is what a lot of people miss from when they study artists like yourself who came up in the blog era. Because how many times do we hear, oh, he just got posted on some blogs and he kind of blew up from there. Right, exactly. And it's like, okay, at first I used to be, as a young artist, I was like, yeah, like that is what seems to be the case. Like, you know, you're seeing, you know, Blueprint gets posted on potholes or something like that. And it sounds like he's getting all these streams, or not even streams at the time, I guess, but just listens in general, and, you know, album sales, etc. But then even in talking to you and listening to kind of some of the stuff and that you were saying and books that you were writing at the time, it wasn't as simple as, okay, I have a full LP. Let me just send it out to the homies and boom, bam, bang, I'm blowing up. There's so much work that goes in between that. And especially, again, I use yourself as an example because you have toured all over the place, but you were the one sending those emails. You were the one talking to the venue managers. You were the one who set up those relationships. And I think that's what gets lost today. In this new era, where it's like, it's so easy to record and it's so easy to put out a project that it kind of sells. And I think, honestly, I feel like DSPs kind of take advantage of this illusion that, okay, you can just put your project on Spotify and hopefully you blow up from there.
Yes.
But it doesn't work like that. So coming up, as I started to realize with my peers at Ohio University, and even as I went on past that they were missing this whole process of sending out an email, or getting a newsletter together, or even just pulling in the contacts that you had already had, or just leaving a piece of paper out at shows to get down contacts. All of that was missing from some of my peers' work. And so it got down to, okay, let me sit down with some of these cats and see what's really going on and see how we can make something lucrative that actually provides some results in fan growth. So that's kind of how I transitioned from, I'll just write a press release for you and send it out and see what happens, to, okay, wait a minute, me sending out this, like, and here's the last thing I'll say about it is, I would send out the press release that was a quality press release. But then if they didn't get picked up by insert publication here, then they're coming back to me like, oh, well, you scammed me. I thought when you sent out that press release that, like, you know, I was going to get on Complex or Vader or whatever. I'm just like, wait a minute, I didn't say any of that. So, you know, once you put those two together, I felt like it was just a perfect marriage of just figuring out what it takes to really develop an artist and really lock down fans.
That's dope. And yeah, we could probably do a whole episode about like the delusional artist stuff that
Right.
like I thought you just sent one email and I be on the cover everything.
Right. And I'm going to California, I'm getting signed to I'm meeting Diddy and I'm sitting in the hot tub with a few ladies around. It's all good. No.
Don't worry like that, bro. That's a whole episode in itself.
Right.
Yeah.
Exactly.
So what we're gonna do is we're gonna break this conversation up, and Sto has some tips for everybody about like how to step to the press, how to try to solicit press for whatever you may have going on. And so we'll take a break and we'll be right back. While I got y'all here, let me remind y'all about a few things we got back in stock on waitlist.net right now. First being the King No Crown movie DVD. This is a double DVD, deluxe DVD. One DVD, first DVD is the movie. Second is all the extra features. That's back in stock. It was out of stock for a while. My movie, this is my first movie, came out in 2017. Free version, which is the clean versions on YouTube. This is the unedited version, dirty version, I guess, if you will, which is available now on waitlist.net. Other thing, 10 Traits of Successful Hip Hop Artists. This book came out about 2 to 3 months ago. So my latest book. This book breaks down the habits, the traits that you see across some of the dopest artists in hip hop. This is my 4th book. And so far, it's been my most successful, amazing feedback on it. This book is here. If you missed out the first time, it's like $14 on the store plus shipping. We got deals that come with bookmarks with it, free stickers, autographs, all of that stuff on waitlist.net. That's in stock. Other thing, more importantly, we've reissued the Two-Headed Monster vinyl. This vinyl is it was red on the first pressing. This next pressing is yellow. This is just now hitting. So if you haven't got it, head to waitlist.net and get it. Sold out the first time in like 2-3 months. It's doing pretty good this time, but get it if you missed it the first time. It's on yellow vinyl. Comes with a download card. Also being restocked, has been reimpressed, is the Two-Headed Monster vinyl right here. Clear vinyl. Two-Headed Monster album. Same thing. It sold out pretty fast in 2018. So we just repressed it here. But you can get that at waitlist.net. And there's prices, special bundle prices for all of this stuff. Now, what's already been in stock, which you probably already have if you don't, just so you don't know, King No Crown. King No Crown vinyl. It's red vinyl. King No Crown is double vinyl though. 2 pieces of double vinyl. But yeah, that's here. That's the record with Persevere on it. Dope record. Great Ideas Never Dies on this record as well. But that's here. And then last thing, which some of you may have or may not, is Vigilante Genesis EP, which is me and Aesop Rock on the production. This is available on vinyl too. But this one is blue vinyl. I ain't gonna open this up just to show you blue vinyl. Trust me, it's blue. But this comes with all the vocal tracks on one side and the instrumentals, which are produced by Aesop Rock on the B side. So that's it. If you got this stuff already, thank you. If you don't, if you want to support, go to waitlist.net. Pick up your copy of any of these things on vinyl, any of the books, the movie. We have apparel as well. And thank you for your time. See y'all soon. Peace. Yeah, y'all. Back again. Back in the building. Super Duty Tough Work. Special guest, Big Sto.
Yes.
I think your social media handle everywhere is pretty much Big Sto.
Yeah. Instagram is Sto the Last, but whatever, you guys will find it.
Yeah, Sto the Last. Look him up. Great follow, great information. And we want to talk about how to deal with the press, tips for getting better press. And Sto has brung mad bullet points to the podcast. We made sure, make sure he came through, you know what I mean? And mad bullet points and such to the podcast. And so what's the first tip that you have for people out there, Sto?
Yeah, so for me, for at least this first section, I wanted to focus, I guess, on working with the press. And so my whole thing, just starting off, given that it's 2021, is to understand, first off, why do you want to get on those publications? Now, 9 times out of 10, when I talk to an artist, because usually they'll approach me with, okay, I want to get on these publications. And the first thing I ask is, okay, what publications do you want to get on and why? Because in 2021, this isn't the blog era, people.
Right.
It's really not. And it sucks to say that. Like, it's really weird that like there are websites that still exist like that, but don't provide the same content, let alone quality of content that we were used to in the blog era. So listen, when you get posted, okay, here's actually the best way to put it. I say this to every artist. At this exact moment, I know people at Complex. I know people at DJ Booth, BET, et cetera, et cetera. And I could easily shoot an email like, hey, this is the homie, get him on insert publication here. But the minute they get that email, if they have not heard of you, that it's going right in the trash. And it's not on some, oh, he doesn't have necessarily enough clout, or, oh, she doesn't necessarily have enough views or whatever. You've got to understand that a lot of these publications are getting thousands, sometimes millions of submissions every single day. So thinking that your one submission, and I mean, for me, it just comes down to a numbers game. Yeah. Like, even if I rarely run into an artist where the music isn't good. It's usually that their brand hasn't been established and they think that they can just, okay, I have a project ready to go. You don't know who I am. You don't even know what I'm about, really, but the music is quality, so I expect it to do well. You've got to understand it doesn't work like that. If they can't write a story, and I'm talking about legitimate writers now. Yeah. If they can't write a story about you, there's nothing, they can't do anything. If you just send an email that says, hey, I got this dope track with a couple flame emojis.
Yeah, that's not going to cut it.
What context? There's nothing, they have nothing to work with. All they can say is, hey, so-and-so released a song and, it's fire, I guess. Yeah. And that's not going to do anything for your career. So slow down, try to get your brand together first, and really think about why you want to be on these publications. And more so, look at the publications that you actually fit in on. It doesn't make sense to go for double XL if you're making underground beats like Griselda. It doesn't make sense. So that's just one. That's literally just one tip. Slow down and figure out why you're putting so much pressure on yourself to get on these publications.
Yeah, I think the point you make about people not reading the room and not knowing what some of these publications specialize in is very important. You got artists that oftentimes, because they have this kind of microwave view of success, they'll say, oh yeah, my music appeals to everybody. And it's like, no, it actually doesn't. No. I don't think they're going to mess with you over there. Like, why? And furthermore, why are you overlooking that place that's smaller that would love to be a champion for your music, right?
Exactly.
So, yeah.
And it's my bad. With the blogs and stuff like that, you've got to remember, and you just nailed it, check out the smaller independent publications that are actually listening to the music. And the thing is this, you don't want someone who you send your music, they listen to it in 24 hours and then write something real quick. You don't want that. You want someone who's actually going to sit down and actually absorb the music, because then, and here's the other thing, big publications are only going to promote your post or whatever they write about you for as long as people click on it, because that's how they get paid.
Yeah,
it sucks to say it. I hate to say it as a journalist. Like, it's disappointing to see. But if you can't pull in clicks, or it's not even if you can't pull in clicks. I don't like blaming the artist on that. I don't think it's their fault per se. But if your post gets up on Complex and no one knows who you are, and that post doesn't get clicks, it'll never be tweeted out again. It'll never be posted up again.
Facts.
So again, look at the smaller publications that actually put in the work to listen and to actually write something decent, and then you actually use that as a resource.
Yeah, and it really speaks, what you said to really speaks to how artists have to do the requisite work before they even kind of get to someone like you.
Mm-hmm.
Like it pays to have a good, strong local presence. It pays to have a working relationship with other artists in your field, to have collaborated with other people, to already have stuff on YouTube that's going, so that when in doubt, I'm sure these writers who may be on the fence about you, they might hop on YouTube and see how you're doing there. They might hop on Spotify, SoundCloud. And if they don't see anything there, how can they justify writing about you?
Mm-hmm.
You know?
And the last point I'll make is like, listen, like if you can still succeed as an artist if no one writes about you. Yes. It sounds ridiculous. And I think that's where 2021 has, like, or not 2021, but this kind of weird limbo era that we're in right now kind of is. Whereas before, like, yeah, if you got on Potholes or whatever, yeah, you were getting more clicks and stuff like that. But now you need to, if you get on a small independent publication, you have to use that link and use that press and use the quotes that they're using.
Yes.
To I guess present yourself not in a better fashion, but to make it, or to at least show that you have an appeal. It doesn't matter if it doesn't have to be Double XL. It doesn't have to be Complex Fader. It doesn't have to be any of those places. If someone believes in you and genuinely has seen your work and has put in that good word, that's press that you can use in the future. Yeah.
Yeah. One thing I've noticed as well, and I don't know if you've seen this as well, is that like podcasts are almost starting to become like the new blog era in terms of writing, reviewing music. And I didn't peep it as much until we started doing album reviews.
Yeah, the album reviews, right.
Yeah, and what I started seeing is like now people email us like, hey, I got this project, Brent, can I send it to you? I got this. And it's not a lot of artists. It's only been 2 or 3. But the ones who've hit me up, they've reached out and it's been sincere. I can tell they listen to the show, and I'm like, and they make music that actually fits what we write about.
Right,
and
right.
So it's like, I got you, man. Next time around,
right? Because you paid attention. You paid attention.
Yeah, man. So yeah, that means a lot, man. So yeah, okay. So let's talk about your number 2 points you like to talk about today.
It's my favorite one. If you've been following me on Twitter, you already know what I'm about to say. Get a damn website. Period. There's no excuse. It's 2021. Yeah. And it's to me, it is still the most useful resource that we have. I say this time and time again, and this gets me on my kind of like tinfoil hat, capitalistic, whatever, but we don't own anything on social media.
Facts.
Nothing. At all. And we see this all the time where companies and publications will take our tweets and take the content that we've created, put it on their website so that they can get paid for it. Mm-hmm. So it's just, you can't rely on social media to, I guess, keep your career sustained, I guess, because if you're trying, and that's if you're trying to take this seriously, right? Like if you're trying to make money and you're trying to tour the world and you're trying to do all these things, again, that you're at that point, you're functioning as a business. And so the way that you represent yourself and the way that you kind of archive and take everything that you've done, for people to be able to see that, it gives them the immediate impression of you. So just as a random example, you dropped the record 5 years ago, but if you don't have it on your website, I'm willing to bet almost anything that it's been buried under everything else that you've been posting on social media since, let alone other projects. True. I should be able to go on the internet, click your website, and see everything that you've ever done. The minute you picked up a microphone, it should be on that website because it shows your journey. It shows how much growth that you've accomplished over this time. And even for someone like me, as I'm transitioning my website over, it's like, wow, over just 15 years, you've done so much. Yep. And people, the places that you're trying to get in, the tables you're trying to sit at, the opportunities you're trying to get, all of them are going to wonder, okay, who is this person outside of the music? Who is this person outside of social media? If they click on your website, and they see everything you've ever accomplished, all the stages that you've been on, all the stuff that you do outside of music, whether it's community work or production, engineering, helping other artists, mentoring, whatever, they can see all of that. And it's, in my opinion, it's almost like an easy home run. That's how easy it is to me. Like, the minute someone sees your entire resume on your website, it's almost impossible to deny insert opportunity here, because your average artist, your average content creator just doesn't have a website. I can't tell you how many times I've had clients fill out a form, and for their website, it's just a Twitter account or an Instagram account. And it's like, yikes, like, no, what are we doing? Don't sell yourself short. And I think that's honestly, in terms of my marketing of websites, I think that's where I go wrong, is that I need to stress that you're selling yourself short by keeping everything you accomplish on social media.
Oh yeah, I agree. I mean, I always look at it like an artist not having a website is kind of like going on a date with a fine woman, but not having nowhere to take her if she says you want to go back to your spot.
Right.
You live with your moms. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
It's like, I wasn't counting on her. Where are we going to go? I'm sorry, I can't take you anywhere. I live with my moms. That's pretty much what an artist not having a website is like. You have people who would buy merch, who would become, fans, who would sit on your website all day and watch your old videos if you got them there, who want an old t-shirt design, a new t-shirt design. They might want to join your mailing list. That's where you form the deepest connection when you get them back there, Right. But as long as you're on Instagram and you're subject to these algorithms and these posts being visible and taken down because they're not getting enough clicks and likes, and like you mentioned, you have posts that are relevant, but because of the way these apps work, they don't want the old content to be visible.
Yep, exactly.
That works. And if you're an artist, you know that your back catalog is where you make your money.
Exactly.
So it inherently goes against the things that help artists make money, not having a website,
Exactly. And honestly, I know I'm going to flip it on you a little bit, but, you're one of the biggest examples of having a website. You know what I mean? And even in having a newsletter and stuff like that, like, I can't tell you how many times, like, I think you did like the double vinyl pack or something like that from the back catalog. And I remember hitting my email. I'm like, whoa, wait a minute. Let me get to that immediately. That it's so hard to get that connection necessarily on social media. And now I'm not saying that it isn't possible, but if you're trying to reach the people that for a fact are into what you're doing, don't put it on social media. Right. Because it's going to get buried. Like, it's just from a logic standpoint, right? The second, not even a minute, not even an hour, the second you post something, it's immediately buried by anybody who posted at the same time you did.
That's true. Yeah.
So having that website where you're able to control it and there's no algorithm that you have to combat against, and you can set it up the way that you like. And like you just mentioned, having your back catalog up there for people who maybe missed out on the first pressing or weren't even worse, they weren't fans at the jump. That's okay. But you have to inform them. You have every right to be like, oh, snap, you just got here in 2021. Oh, well, guess what? I got 15 years of music for you to listen to. Let's hop in. Don't sell yourself short.
Yeah. And to the artists out here who are on the fence, it's not that expensive. For the price of a nice pair of shoes, you can probably have a website for a year, from the hosting to the, get WordPress or something, which is free, and get you a decent template. And, however you decide to do it, $100, $200 a year, I think that's worth it when you look at what you get long term. And the sooner you do it, the better, because you need to make sure that you have somewhere to send these people. And so start earlier. Okay. What's number 3?
Number 3 is having patience. I know that's not
it's not sexy, but it's real.
Right. It's not going to bolster your numbers immediately and all that jazz, but it's so important. I use myself as an example here. I was rapping. I started rapping when I was 17. And listen, some of you are going to watch this who know who I am, have no clue that I rap. And that's fine. That's honestly how I prefer it. But I'm at a point where it's like, okay, I know if I release something, I'm good. I don't have to worry about it.
Yeah.
And that's because I've been patient. It's so easy. And honestly, I feel like I'm talking to more so the new up and comers and kind of the young bucks that are like just under 30 that think, oh no, if I don't blow up by 30 years old, it's a wrap. No. Cut that out. Get that out of here. That doesn't exist. But take your time. You don't have to blow up like that. Yeah. You don't have to blow up after your first release. And I hate to say this, y'all not going to like it, but you probably won't blow up after your first release.
Come on.
But that's okay. That's okay. Now's the time, and especially now that we're in this pandemic era, I kind of was telling artists this at the beginning of it all, is like time in some sorts or some essence of the word has stopped in terms of the music industry. Yep. No one's out here performing. No one's really like moving records, like aside from obviously like the super big names and stuff like that. But you have time to kind of do some prep work. You have time to get a website and time to build out that website. You have time to really record and sit down and get a record together, but then slow down, stop and figure out, okay, what do I want to do for the next month before this record comes out? You don't have to finish a record and drop it 2 weeks later. I promise you super don't have to do that. And a lot of times it'll leave you disappointed when you do that. And so slowing down, having patience, and don't let yourself get sucked into the social media era of things. I used to compare myself so much to all my peers around me. Like they respect, and that was the thing. They respected who I was as an MC, but I was so in my head and in my thoughts about, oh man, I'm not getting these numbers, and dang, like so-and-so's touring all over the place, and dang, like when is it my turn? I promise your turn is coming, but you got to put in that work first. And a lot of that does come down to getting a website. It does come down to figuring out and establishing what you want or what your brand is and what your personality is. It is about creating content outside of the music. None of your fans want to be advertised to constantly. They want to know who you are outside of the studio. You know what I mean? What conversations if you mess up a take in the studio, or you're having a random conversation with the homies in the studio, record that. That's what people want to see. The music is quality. Everybody that I'm talking to, I'm assuming that you're already making quality music. That's not where the issue is. The issue is in trying to connect yourself to the people that are already interested in what you're doing. Have the patience to understand that, yes, not everybody is going to be in your music or into your music. That everybody is not your target audience. Figure out who you want to hit and who you want to target and go from there. Have that patience, put in that work. I promise your time is coming.
Yeah, I agree. That's well said. I don't even know if I should add anything to that. Just cooking on that one.
I'm gonna just flip it back to you. Talk to us about that patience. Cause listen, man, like I saw you at Casa and was like, wow, he's got to be bringing in all kinds of bags and like all this stuff, but you were still putting in work then. Yeah.
And stuff like to this day, I mean, one thing people don't know is like, I didn't even start doing music full time till I was 28. I was 28 when I resigned from my job to tour for the first time. Right. I had been putting out music for 3-4 years before then, and then my first solo record didn't come out till I was 32. You know what I mean? So it's like, so I've had a late. I've definitely been a beneficiary of patience, and I think maybe that came from looking at rap differently, because I never looked at it like, oh, I'm gonna blow up. I was more looking at it like, man, if I just get to take a month off this job, that's it. If I just get to go on the road and go out of town and play a show, I couldn't ask for more. And so I'll take that. And then that was 2002, and this is year 19 that I've been doing this full time, and I haven't had to go back and get that job since. And so I'm a big testament to the power of patience. And even now, the stuff you mentioned about using this time to your advantage, I tell people every week, like, yo, you'll never have a period like the last year in your artistic career where everything stood still and you could actually create and finish projects without worrying about everyone dropping every week or feeling like you're keeping up with anybody, and that if you do the work right now, you'll actually be so far ahead of all your peers that it will blow your mind, but you'll never get this again. I don't see this ever happening. I'm like, take advantage, because like everything's standing still, but you have a unique opportunity where you're home more than ever. Mm-hmm. And if you're home more than ever, then you should be able to create more than ever.
Exactly.
But it's a time of great opportunity if you see it like that, but you have to have some discipline and patience to take advantage of it, you know?
Exactly. Yeah. This is, and I explain it like this, is like this whole life thing is like it's a track meet. And with how the pandemic has kind of played, if you're in that music industry track meet, that race has paused. Yes. Everything has stopped. Yep. But you have this kind of superpower almost, to where if you're taking the time to work and do stuff during the pandemic, I'm not saying to drive yourself into the ground, never that, but just putting in that work while the race is stopped, it's kind of like you're taking steps as everything else is still kind of going on. Yes. And you're taking a few steps here, and while you're watching kind of some of your other peers, I've already seen people be like, "Oh, I'm not doing anything until I can jump on stage. I'm not dropping any music. I'm not doing anything. It's a waste of time." I'm like, okay. Meanwhile, the people that are putting in the work, that are getting their brand together, finding their target audience, getting their website together, when things unfreeze, you've lapped some of the people who stayed in their lane, and they're gonna be like, "Wait a minute, how did this dude came out of what the?" How did he get that? How is this person doing all this stuff? And it's because you decided to work and really just make progress during all this. And now that things are back going, you're going to be able to just kind of, I genuinely believe some people are going to just be able to step in and start performing and stuff like that. Start hopping on festivals and stuff. And the thing is this, businesses are going to be looking. Yes. Their bottom line and their how the financials are going, a profit and stuff like that has been going down ever since this stuff started. The minute things open back up, South by Southwest, A3C, all these other, and probably other festivals, businesses, etc., are going to be looking for acts. Yeah. So you have a chance to just slide right in there. All you got to do is put in the work.
Yeah. And not to mention what you said about how, because so many artists are afraid to release stuff right now, that presents opportunities in itself right now. Like I did a talk with Capital University. They have like a music tech program, and they were asking about, okay, who should we be trying to talk to about our music right now? And I said, you should be talking to the places who normally it would be too competitive for you to get a look. And they were talking about college radio, and I was like, who's servicing college radio right now? I said, probably nobody. Right. And the guy who ran the program, he was like, this is absolutely right. He said, I work part-time for our station. And he said, we get in 10% of what we normally get.
Jeez.
He said,
that was that bad.
No one's sending out records to servicing college radio right now. And he said, this is a perfect time to start building these relationships with these program directors who still are checking the mail, who still want to have something going on, but everybody ain't around. It's not as easy as it used to be. He said, this is the perfect time, you know?
Yeah, that's incredible.
Yeah, so that's number 3.
Yes.
Yep. Okay, so we'll take a break and we'll be right back. While I got y'all here, I want to give you a quick reminder that my first 3 books have been repressed and are available again on waitlist.net. Book number 1, Word is Blog, Volume 1. This book is a collection of some of my best blogs and writings online, assembled into book form. Second book is Adventures in Counterculture, The Making of Adventures in Counterculture. This book is about my 2011 album titled Adventures in Counterculture. This book talks about the 4-year period that it took me to make that album, the personal and artistic changes that it took. If you're into some artistic reading, this is for you. And then the third book, which is available again, is What a Night, a book about the worst shows of my career. This book is, as it says, it's a book about the worst shows of my career, but it's actually a pretty funny book. Some stories in here are just tragic or bugged out, but overall, this book will have you cracking up. So if you need some light reading, something that will just make you laugh, and if you've ever wondered what happens on the road with artists, pick up this book. All 3 are available, $10 each. However, you can get all 3 of them for just $25 right now. If you want them signed, please put some instructions in the special instructions box and ask me to sign them, and I'll get them signed before I get them out to you. And I think they might have a checkbox for all 3 that allows you to get them signed. So that's it for now. Back to the show. All right, folks, we back. Super Duty Tough Work, Blueprint, special guest, Big Sto in the building, writer, publicist, label manager, artist liaison, artist himself. You know what I'm saying? Many hats, many jewels being dropped. And I hope that you guys are getting something out of this, taking notes, don't be afraid to write some of these bullet points down. If you're on YouTube, let us know what your favorite bullet point is in the comment section. And, make sure you follow Big Sto when this is all said and done. He's a great follow on social media. And so let's talk about number 4. What do you got?
Yeah, let's get into it. So I feel like we kind of been jumping all over the place, but I wanted to kind of center it back to finding out what your brand is. Now I get it. Some of you are already cringing into another dimension already. Brand. Oh God. Like I don't care about that. And listen, you're talking to someone who, even when I heard the word brand as an artist, I'd be like, oh, I'm not trying to do the whole mainstream capitalistic whatever. Like I'm not, or right here we go. Here's the best one. I'm not trying to sell out. So I don't need to worry about what my brand is or anything like that. No. Cut that out. The minute you start realizing like, okay, my art is worth something and I want it to be valued properly, you have to start thinking of yourself as a business. And so when it comes to brand, I hate the word brand too. I hate it. I can't stand it. But I like to say it's more of you putting out or exuding your personality or who you already are. You're not I hear this all the time. How do I come up with this aesthetic or come up with this brand that people will like, that people will engage with? Well, the best brand is yourself. You don't have, no one's, people can see right through the BS in terms of faking your brand or faking your aesthetic, right? We see this all the time where it's like, and there's a difference between actual artist evolution and just, okay, I'm trying to fit in with this trend that I'm seeing online and stuff like that. So when it comes to brand, it's just your personality. So again, we've talked about outside of the music. I know this is a music podcast, but again, when you're trying to get consumers and people to buy in, they want to buy, they're not just buying into the music, they are buying into you. Yes. So what is it about you, or what do you do outside of the music that you think others would kind of not necessarily latch onto, but connect with? So for myself, I play video games. I watch basketball, stuff like that. So I'll tweet about stuff like that sometimes. Not just like, again, you're not trying to force anything. You're just being yourself. And again, eventually people will be like, oh, wait a minute. I didn't realize Blueprint was into that. Oh, snap. Well, what else is he talking about? Or snap, like, you show, I don't know, a video of you at the record store, just going through records, not even on some, I'm looking for, or not on some, I'm promoting music, but just on some, I'm doing what I usually do in my day to day. Some people be like, well, dang, I didn't realize he was even into old records like that. Like, dang, let me give him a follow. Let me see what else he's up to. So eventually when that seed is planted and someone's like, oh, I didn't realize they were into that. Eventually, if you're building content and you're continuing to cultivate that connection, eventually when it's time to release a product, it's no longer this, oh no, I hope that they engage with this product. It's more of, my fans have connected with me over months and months of me just being myself, that now when it's time to push a product, it's no problem. I'm not begging you to please listen to my music because I need my ego to be filled. No, I'm into this artist because there's something that resonates with me beyond the music. And I want to buy in to support and connect this person. So when you're finding your brand, it's really just tapping into who you are and what you're into. And again, understanding where you fit in. We kind of brought this up at the beginning, right? Everybody is not your target audience. Yeah. If you're singing and, you're making tunes about, all the people that broke up with you and stuff like that, I'm not quite sure you want to be pitching to Hip Hop DX, who usually be writing about like Griselda and stuff like that.
Right.
And vice versa. If you're doing more underground stuff and you got DJs and scratching on your records and all these features from people that, most haven't heard from, I hate to say it, but Complex probably isn't picking that up. So again, getting in where you fit in, find the underground publications that are covering Griselda, or find the publications that are covering, more R&B and soul stuff. Get in where you fit in, because that's where you're going to find more successes and wins. Then when you get posted, oh my goodness, you connect the dots, you put it on your website. Oh my good, come on. That's all it is. So yeah, find your brand and don't force yourself to be something that you're not. Just be yourself. That's what people want to see.
Exactly. And I'd like to tell artists all the time, I say all the time, like, man, my secret power, or an artist's secret power, is being yourself, because no one can be you better than you.
Yeah.
Like other you look at certain cats, but people seem to overlook that when they start copying what other people are doing. Like, yeah, you can copy what they're doing. You can make yourself look, dress, sound, act, talk like them a little bit. But if that's not you, you'll never be in the forefront of people's minds when they think about that thing. And branding is it's about getting the idea of who you are into people's minds. And for the people who hate the word brand, just substitute the word reputation in there. Yeah. It makes and don't, if you don't want to use it, don't use it. But understand that there's really not much. And for everyone who heard our episode about MF Doom, that's a kind of a masterclass on branding. Yeah. And so you really, if you understand that, he never used the word brand or the MF Doom brand. Exactly. He just created something that was uniquely his, and no one can copy it. You can't wear a mask without people thinking MF Doom. You can't sample certain records without people thinking MF Doom. You can't rhyme certain ways without certain things, because he kind of branded that and made that his. And so just like he is unique and exploiting what he loves, you can do the same things. In order to do that, you got to see yourself as special.
Exactly.
Like, don't see like your unique traits as like these things that are to be hidden or that people won't understand. See your unique traits as advantages. And if you can flip that switch to see them as advantages, then all of a sudden you'll find the angles to express yourself within how you, tell your story.
You're absolutely knocking it out of the park. And the only thing I'll say at the tail end of that is, this is someone who I was afraid of those things that made me unique. I would never, when I just started maybe over the last few years, like posting about games and stuff like that, because before I was like, oh, well, I don't want them to think I'm just like a nerd and don't know what I'm talking about. But you're absolutely right. It's those things that connect us together and that have people be like, oh, wait, I didn't even realize it's not just, and again, you don't want people focused solely on the music. It's you yourself that they're connecting to, rather. So embrace that, take advantage of that. Again, there's something only you can do that has to be done. And I genuinely believe that.
Yes. Great advice. Okay. Number 5.
Yes. So this one's more like pandemic driven. It's just taking advantage of kind of the virtual space that we have. Obviously, we're recording the show over Zoom. And so, now that we're almost a year into this pandemic, things like hosting virtual concerts or even just doing sit downs with fans that sign up, or one of my favorites, honestly, is starting a stream and just previewing some tracks. And getting a feel for it, because your audience is going to tell you straight up whether it's trash or not. It's such an easy way to get feedback. Use the virtual space. And again, especially now, because as we've been in this for going on a year, there are people that, because there was kind of like a virtual boom almost last year, where I felt like everybody was on IG Live, and Versus had kind of was birthed out of that, and all this other stuff. And like we saw DJs doing mixes on Twitch, and I know the homie Theory has to be making beats on Twitch and stuff like that. There's so many different things that people were doing virtually, but I feel like that's kind of died down as we've kind of accepted kind of this normalcy somewhat that we're in now. But I encourage everyone to continue to use those platforms, not just because now a lot of people have fallen off and decided like, oh, well, it's not quote unquote trendy, so I'm not going to use it anymore. But because there are tons of people that are at home right now that are just like, dang, like I don't really have anything to do. You know, I'm kind of bored. There are people that are lonely and stuff like that. They want something to engage with, like a virtual concert, or like, even just, I see people do this where they'll, NBA games on, it may not, you obviously can't just straight up put the game on your stream, but watching the game with your fans and reacting as things happen and stuff like that, just having a room going for a few hours and stuff like that. People are almost desperate for that connection these days, given the state of things. So utilizing IG Live, utilizing Twitch, or like we're doing here with Zoom and podcasting and stuff like that. There's so many different avenues to just provide content. And again, when people are in those rooms and in those virtual spaces, they're gonna remember that. And again, down the line, when you start pushing a product and stuff like that, they're gonna remember, hey, I was in that stream, I watched him make that beat, or I watched him record that verse live, and he asked for my feedback, or maybe you threw in a suggestion or something like that. Like all of that connects you to the release and stuff like that. So utilize these virtual platforms. Give yourself a chance to connect to the people that you wouldn't have otherwise. A perfect example, I'm a big fan of Uncle John from DC, and he had been touring a little bit in 2019, and I didn't get a chance to see him, but he did a virtual show last year. And that was my first time seeing him. And it was, obviously it's not the exact same, but for me as an actual fan, it was just like, oh my goodness, like I might never get a chance to see him. So to have that moment now is just incredible. Again, all of you are creating so many things, whether you're rapping, singing, producing, engineering, whatever. Bring people into that universe. Bring people into what you're creating.
Yeah, and I want to add on to that too. Like, one of the benefits of that is that when people who may be new to you go back and view those things, it provides social proof that you may need to get in some of these doors.
Exactly.
Because at their core, like you mentioned, a lot of these platforms are interested in clicks, which makes it instantly like they want proof that if we write this feature on you, you got enough people to send some people over here.
Yeah.
And if you can't send nobody over here and then you got no engagement on your page, why should we take the chance?
Exactly.
And like you mentioned, you're doing the lives, you're doing interactive content where they can literally see people engaging with you on your page. All of a sudden it becomes, you know what? He's got something going here. We're not even writing about him, and he's doing it without us.
Exactly.
This guy can bring us some looks, and it's obviously they're in it for their own self-interest, but you scratch their back, they'll scratch yours. And if you want to get a wider audience, sometimes having that live social proof goes a long way.
Exactly. And with publications, the only thing I'll say is, especially now that we kind of talked about this at the jump, where it's not the blog era anymore. A lot of these publications are late to the party. Before, you could some publications were late, obviously, but in a lot of cases before, in the blog era, they were right on time. Yes. You know what I mean? They'd get a release and be like, oh snap, this is great, you're from so-and-so representing whatever. Boom, it's out there. And you would have blog era publications genuinely breaking artists to an extent. That doesn't really happen anymore. Nowadays, publications are more like, oh, well, if you aren't already bringing people in, it's almost like the website sees you as a disservice. And it sucks. I can't stand that it's that way. And I think that's why some of my independent contemporaries are doing, more newsletter driven stuff. But usually it's once you started blowing up, it's once you started getting a spark, then publications are like, oh snap, we'll see. Yeah, we broke him. Did you see that? We wrote about him first. He was doing all this crazy stuff. See how we did that? That's usually how that works, because then they can just funnel in all that traffic and get all those clicks. So you can establish yourself on your own. And like we said at the beginning of this, you don't need a publication to put you on. Yeah. You have enough talent and enough personality in your genuine self to make that happen.
Absolutely. Yep. And so let's go to number 6 right now. 6?
Yes.
Oh, okay.
So newsletters, it kind of ties in with the website thing, but once you have, this is what I want to say is, getting an email address from someone is one of the most valuable things you can have in this era. It's not follows. It's not retweets. It's not likes. None of that. All that is cool and it looks sweet on paper and it gives you that little, I don't even remember what the chemical is called or whatever, but
endorphins maybe?
There's something like that. That sparks you up to post more on social media so they can keep you in one spot. It's not all of that. If you have someone's email, and listen, the best way to describe it is like this. This is someone pretty much walking up to you and saying, hey, out of all the crap that's out there on the internet, out of all the stuff I see on social media, out of all the stuff that's on the internet, I want you to contact me about anything you're doing. Here's my email.
Yep.
Please contact me if you're working on stuff.
Yep.
And unfortunately, I feel like I see so many artists either not even like store emails or take them seriously, or B, the worst case scenario where they'll get the email, but it literally will just be, hey, I have a new album out. Make sure you go cop it here. Bye.
Yep.
It's like, whoa. So with a newsletter, again, when you get that email, that is not someone saying, hey, I want you to continuously like spam my inbox with a product that you want me to buy. I want to hear about everything.
Yeah.
What are you doing? Are you in the studio? If you're working on a project, I don't want to hear about it when it's finally time to release. I want to hear about it while you're in the studio. Let me see pictures of you in the studio, killing it. Let me hear a 30-second preview. I gave you my email. You know what I mean? And so when you have that email, you're pretty much setting up a VIP club. Right? And here we go. Let's take it back. Remember fan clubs, people? Remember when people would, whether it's an address or an email address, and they'd send you special like little gifts or just little things to keep you just engaged. That's what a newsletter is. And you have so much that you can do with it. Don't just use it as a billboard. Now, obviously, do use it as a billboard for when you are pushing a product, but they want more than that. They want to be tapped into what you're doing and who you are. And, you're working on this record. All right, bet. Tell me about that record. What's that record about? I'm going to go back to you as an example. When you release a record and I get that press release, oh my goodness, it's beautiful because you send, you obviously have the cover art, but you go deeper than that. You're not just saying, hey, go grab Adventures of Counterculture right now. You're telling us, hey, what sparked that? You know what I mean? And how, what mind space were you in? How did you go about producing beats? And again, you went the extra mile to write a book, do things like documentaries and stuff like that. Again, for people like me, where it's like, I'm getting bombarded with all these other artists and stuff like that. Sometimes artists get lost in the shuffle. But when I get that email from you, it's like, oh, snap, dang, I've been moving so fast. I forgot Blueprint just dropped something. Let me go check that out real quick.
Yeah.
That's genuinely what it is when you have someone in a newsletter. In this whole hustle and bustle and kind of, threat level midnight kind of era that we're in right now, people's minds and attention spans are all over the place. The usual statistic is what? I think someone needs to see something 8 to 11 times before it sticks in their brain. That number has jumped up since the pandemic because people are stressed out and people are just like flying doom scrolling on social media and stuff like that. Stuff is going to fall through the cracks. But if you're able to kind of reel it in and put together a hefty newsletter that explains what you're doing, how and everything that you're cooking up in the behind the scenes. And then you can kind of put in that personal element of, hey, I know it's rough out here right now, and I hope you're doing okay. It's those things that connect you to your audience. People remember that. So please get a website, but pair it with a newsletter so you can keep your audience informed and show them that you care, so that when product time comes and album season comes, it's a no-brainer.
Yeah. And I want to add on to that too, is like
absolutely
having a newsletter and people who you can contact directly takes the pressure off of needing press in the first place.
Yes.
Right? Like because if you were to ask most artists why they wanted to be on those websites, I'm sure some would say we just want the validation of being on there, but some of them would say I want to make more fans. I want to talk directly to the people. I want the people who are into that thing that I do. I want them to come over here so that they can deal with me directly. Exactly. And as you develop your newsletter, your email list, you tend to feel like, well, do I really need to be putting all this pressure on getting a great review from this magazine or this platform or this podcast? It's like the pressure isn't completely there anymore. Yep. Like it is for a lot of artists. They put a lot into that. And like you mentioned, some of them will get upset if you send out a press release and who they think should pick it up doesn't pick it up. Yep. Whereas for me, over the years, I've tended to look at the press. I used to look at the press as, the cake. Now I look at the press as the icing on the cake. My whole bonus. Yep, it's a bonus. My whole campaign and my whole promotional campaign, that's developed without me even considering any publications, any pitches, any of that. Yep. So everything I'm doing is to be done directly for my fans. And as that's going, if I want to add on a piece, which includes pitching to platforms, magazines, whatever, I can do that. And now the pressure isn't on that because exactly. I'm communicating directly with my people via email. And you're 100% right. Like it takes away a lot, and it allows you to build something that you couldn't otherwise build, man. You can't. Exactly. These people want to hear from you and come to them with a deeper message than you usually would put on, to 180 characters or whatever on Boom. Twitter,
Boom. Exactly. That's exactly it. And again, with the publications, like we said, it's a bonus. And if I'm remembering, hold on, I think I have your book right here. Okay, so I was going to say I assume that people had written like their own kind of critiques and stuff for the book. It wasn't, you didn't send the book to all these publications and
nope.
and had them write reviews and all this stuff. Yeah. You know what I mean? You literally you've done all this in house, and so when a publication does pick it up, you can just pick a quote out or something like that, and then boom, just put it on your website or something like that. But you're not completely dependent on that publication to see you forward. And again, I feel like we've brought this up a ton of times. You do not need them to succeed.
Yes.
The direct conversation that you're having with your audience, that is where the power is. Because again, when it comes time to push a product, it's no longer, oh, he's spamming me with insert project here. It's, oh, snap, so-and-so's releasing a project and we've been talking for almost months now.
Yes.
It's a no-brainer. And I with any client I talk to, it's the end goal is to get anybody who engages with you on a serious level to simply move. Yes. When you say, hey, I have this project or I have this book that's done, but I need $10. Like I put a lot of work into this. I need $10 to just show that support. It's no longer this, oh, well, they're spamming me again with the 30th email of, hey, download my project. It's dang, like they actually checked up on me during this pandemic stuff. And dang, like he actually provided some good resources on his podcast about things I can be doing during all this. It's a no-brainer to chip in $10 for a record.
Facts. Yeah, I would also add on to this too. Email is not only for your fans. What I also keep an email list for is like local press.
Absolutely.
Because local press are guys I actually have met or girls around town, and I know that they write for certain things. And so since I have a better relationship with them, it doesn't feel cold to let them know about what's going on. It's like, okay, just so y'all know, down the pipe, this is coming. This is what I'm doing. Right. And those are relationships you can cultivate a little bit easier than some of the national people who you may have never met. And so keep email lists for everything if you can. Maybe you want to have a email list for your favorite podcasts who do music reviews. I don't know. But I'm sure listening to this hopefully will give you some ideas about people who may be interested in keeping tabs on what you do. Venues just as well. Hey, I got this record coming, and I have promoters who follow me and are subscribed to my email list. And anytime I say I got a new record coming out, they like, let me know when the tour dates.
Yep.
We got you. When you coming through, you doing a whole tour? We just want to know. Right. Even though I didn't even talk about touring. Right. And so having the list though allows everybody to get caught back up. Right. So that was number 6 or 7. What was that, number 6?
Yeah, that was 6.
That's 6. Okay. 6. Number 7.
Yes, last one, number 7, and we've kind of touched on this a bit throughout this whole thing, but it's pinning down your target audience. We talked about this at the top. I promise, I get it. You want everybody to listen to your music. You want literally every person on planet Earth, on Earth 1, Earth 2, and Earth 3 to listen to your music. I get it. Yeah. But it very rarely works like that. So where you're better off doing and what you're better off kind of putting your time and energy into is figuring out who you are trying to appeal to. So for example, when I talk to artists, they're like, okay, I want to do ads. And I'm like, okay, that's a great idea. What parameters are you putting in those ads? Because you cannot just say hip hop. You can't do that.
Underground.
You can't do that. Right. Exactly. Exactly.
Any age.
So exactly. Everybody. I don't care where they're from. Yeah. You got to narrow it down because your goal, especially as an up and comer, is that you're trying to get in front of the people that are most likely to just jump in simply because of what they see or what you exude. So I know I keep using Griselda as an example, but I feel like right now they're the kind of the underground standard or whatever.
Yes.
You see that they have specific art and you see that they have specific production and they understand that they want to tap into people that are into that underground sound, but also those who were kind of coming up back in the day where battle raps were pretty cutthroat and stuff like that. They know who they're tapping into. Now let's hop into a different timeline and just say that Griselda is making the same kind of music, but let's now say that they're trying to pitch to people that listen to Drake and people that listen to The Weeknd and stuff like that. Even as you hear that sentence, that doesn't make sense. And so kind of apply that. And again, that's not to say that fans of Drake cannot listen to Griselda. That's not the case. I'm one of those people, but you're trying to, again, really pin down off rip who is going to be into your music. So really think about, okay, the one question I always ask artists is, okay, if you were to start a Pandora channel, what 3 other artists would be on your channel that would actually fit in? And start there. Yes. Don't just do hip hop, don't just do underground, but really pin down some artists that kind of fill that sound. Now I know that sounds strange, but I think a lot of us have been introduced to music. It was like, oh, well, you like Theory Has It. Well, you should check out this nigga Blueprint. Like he's real nice with it too. Oh, snap. You listen to Soul Position. Well, you might want to go check out this duo of Tyler Creator and Earl Sweatshirt. They kind of brought back kind of some of that underground essence as well. Like you want to really tap into who is most likely to listen to your music. It's the same with like think of it from a business perspective. You're not going to see, I don't know, like a Sprite commercial that's just simply pitching to people who are simply trying to get into the best shape possible. That doesn't make sense. You really want to get in where you fit in. And I know that can be kind of hard to do and hard to pin down, but once you do pin it down and you're able to figure out where you fit in, I think that's where you start to see the most engagement. And that's where you start to see people who are actually like, oh, like he sounds like such and such artist. So I'm kind of into that. Let me at least give him a shot. Yeah. And then it kind of blossoms from there.
Yeah. And I would also tell artists that sometimes it's not who you think. It's not about who you want to be paired next to.
Yeah.
It's about who people hear when they hear you.
And then pair you with.
And pair you with, right? Because, you know, a lot of artists will, and I guess it's somewhat of an exercise in ego, they just want to be next to whoever the most popular person is.
Right.
And but it's like when people hear you, they'll put you next to artists that you may have never thought. And I've seen that happen to me. Maybe about 8-10 years ago, I was on Facebook when I first started using Facebook heavy and Facebook ads. And I was like trying to figure out who people saw me next to. This was pre-Spotify.
Yeah.
And so I would go on there, and what I would do is when someone liked a post, I would click on their page and then I would look at their likes for their music. And I would see the same 5 or 6 acts. I was like, holy shit.
Like,
everybody that likes me likes Sage Francis. You know?
Right.
I was like, I never would have thought that. I'm like, me and them so different. But to them, for whatever it is, there's something where they put us in the same lane or category for some sort of thing, even though we do different things. But still, it's not up to me to decide. If you asked me, I'd have been like, put me next to Big Daddy Kane. They'd have been like, nah, bruh. Sage.
Nah, bruh.
That's not who we put next to you. You with them over there. All right. I just accepted it. Like, okay. But it helped me kind of further embrace who I was and refine what I'm doing instead of thinking that, okay, I can control who people put me next to, who this artist reminds you of, who this artist sounds. You can't control that. You make your music and then the people kind of decide, and you have to look like, okay, what are these people really singing me that's making them listen to this? And and don't be afraid to ask.
Exactly.
Ask, hey, what else are y'all listening to? Your fans can tell you what they're listening to. What's the best records y'all heard this year? That'll tell you right there what their listening scope is. Okay, we listen to Black Thought, and we got this guy, and then we got them, and then your record, and then okay, now I see the lane I'm in. And then obviously, like you said, the Pandoras, the Spotify's now allow you to go in, and the algorithms are telling you exactly what they're listening to before, after your records, and artists who sound like this. That's all that's not determined by Spotify. That's determined by the fans playing this music together. And so use all of those things to your advantage, man. And when you find those, you'll know who the hell you are, and then you won't have to chase what other people are doing. And then you'll stand out more, you know?
Exactly. It's invaluable. It's honestly invaluable data. The only thing I'll throw in also is, like you kind of touched on, in how fans will determine where you're at. And again, you're trying to appeal to those fans. So if they're telling you straight up, hey, this is kind of where we see you fitting in, don't go against that. Because and as crazy as it sounds, because I feel like some cats will hear like, oh, like, you know, you kind of sound like that. Because I've gotten that too. It's like, oh, you sound like so-and-so. I'm like, what? Like, I don't know if you're on point with that. But but when you lean into it, there's so much data there. And you realize that those are the people that are going to engage.
Facts.
And then the people that engage, those are the people that end up dropping a bag on your product when it comes out. So connect, you know, find your target audience, but don't be afraid to ask what your audience is doing, because that's the thing, they'll tell you straight up. If you show them a song or something like that, they'll tell you what it sounds like. They'll tell you if it's good. They'll tell you if it's trash. Use that data. So that's the last one, right? That's number 7. Yes, sir.
Dope. So yeah, man, that's it today, man. If y'all are listening at home, I hope y'all got something out of this. This has been a dope conversation for me as well, you know, to chop it up with Sto. This is a brother I know can go super deep like I can. And it's good to have him on here cooking, so I ain't got to be hogging the mic all episode. And let the people know where to find you, Big Sto.
At Big Sto on Twitter, BIGSTO. I'm usually dropping keys. Try to drop them every day. Office hours, I do that with my homegirl Nora Rahimian out of LA. We do that every first and third Tuesday of the month. Shout out to her. Everybody's hip hop label. Find us on Facebook. We're connected to Everybody's Records here in Cincinnati, but
dope,
we're doing a lot of
classic, really dope record store.
Absolutely, and we're doing a lot of good work out of there. the Boom Bap Review Volume 3 will be out later this year in November. We're going to keep covering these records, making sure that, the print is, like puts all of this, I guess, in history forever by writing about it. So,
yes.
I really appreciate you having me on, man. It's kind of a whirlwind, kind of how, again, meeting you almost a decade ago now, and being able to actually speak alongside you at 2x2 and now being here. I'm super thankful for all you've done, not just for Ohio, but for hip hop in general. Honestly, I appreciate you.
Oh yeah, well, thank you, and likewise, man. Like, you are inspiring people as well, and you getting these artists right, whether they know it or not. They need to be listening. To the shit you be saying, and it's dope. So if you're at home, I hope you got something out of this. If you're thinking about how to speak to press, what you need to be doing before and after, listen to this episode, and I thank you, and we'll see you guys next week.
Peace.
Thank you for listening to Super Duty Tough Work. Subscribe to the podcast on iTunes. Follow the podcast on SoundCloud. Peace.
Shoot, I got styles already that's more complex that nobody know about. I mean, super duty tough work.